Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We at Xometry are so excited to talk to you today about how to ensure your supply chain can withstand disruption. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Serena, and I'm on the marketing team here at Xometry. You might have read my case studies, blog posts, or emails, and today I will be helping to facilitate this webinar. So a couple of notes before we get started. Please submit your questions throughout the webinar in the question box in your webinar panel. We will be reviewing those as they come in, and then we'll answer them all during the live Q&A at the end. Also, we will be sure to send you a recording of this webinar, so if you miss anything, if you want to send a copy to your colleagues, then we will have that link for you to watch it on demand. And finally, please stick around until the end because we have a special discount code as well as a referral offer. So now I want to introduce our expert supply chain panelists. First off, we have our guest presenter, Jenn Ryan. So Jenn, wave hello. There she is.
Not an expert in conferencing technology.
So Jenn joined Xometry with over 25 years of experience leading operations for R.R. Donnelley, ADP, and Infosys. While she was the division vice president of global operations for ADP, she was recognized by the state of Texas for creating more than 1,500 jobs in El Paso, and in 2016 she opened ADP's European Language Center of Excellence in Romania. She has global leadership experience, and she brings that all to Xometry to help us secure our supply chain and help customers get their parts day in and day out. So thank you, Jenn, for joining us today. Next, we have our second speaker, Peter Goguen. There he is. Prior to joining Xometry, Peter spent over 30 years in the auto industry, delivering over $10 billion in automotive components and modular systems as the Vice President of Operations for Magna Interior Systems for North America and the United Kingdom, as well as the COO for Dakota Integrated Systems. Peter restructured the management group, led the growth acquisitions and consolidations of these two companies. Peter has also led the team at Detroit Manufacturing Systems, a major provider of automotive interior systems. Peter is also very close to our customers with a BS in mechanical engineering from Queen's University in Canada. So thank you for joining us today. And finally, we have our final presenter and panelist moderator, Greg Paulsen. Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Greg, you probably know from previous webinars if you have joined us. He is also well known for our well-loved Will It Engineering Challenge videos, and he is the manufacturing thought leader on virtually every industry podcast, and he's at every manufacturing trade show exhibit. He is officially the director of application engineering at Xometry, but he's an expert on all things manufacturing and can help you whether it's consulting on your projects or talking about supply chain efficiency and resiliency. So thank you, all of you, for joining today, and I will hand it over to Greg.
Hey, thanks so much, Serena. And we're super excited today because it is not that often that I could get these two people in a room digitally, even digitally, and pick their brains on ensuring supply chains can withstand disruption, and talking a lot about the Xometry model, how we're very resilient against disruption in supply chains. So I also, again, want to thank Jenn and Peter for joining on, because it's really exciting. You've heard their backgrounds. They are truly world experts in their fields. So I'm going to start very briefly and just talk a little bit about Xometry from a survey level, but we're going to get into more of the details because today is a panel discussion. I'm going to bring some questions for both Jenn and Peter, and I'll help kind of moderate the conversation and move through some follow-up questions. But this is also an opportunity for you, the audience, as well, to ask some questions, because we're going to have some live Q&A at the end. So with the GoToWebinar features, you'll see a questions tab where you can input your questions, and feel free to ask along the way. We're going to save some time at the very end there to go through that. So let me get started with you know, a little bit about Xometry. And I always just like to start with a bang here, which is we just make a ton of parts. We make a ton of parts at Xometry. So we offer over a dozen different manufacturing processes, 8 types of additive manufacturing, both plastics and metals, subtractive, you know, milling, machining, turning, sheet metal fabrication, and more scaling processes like molding, die casting, stamping. We even do some light assemblies, weldments, but this is all around this encompassing manufacturing as a service, full supply chain. And we have some magic behind the scenes that I think we'll be talking about a little bit structurally as we go through our Q&A. But a lot of that is around this concept of distributed manufacturing. So I'm really excited to talk about distributed manufacturing and, again, what makes that resilient, especially when you have supply chain disruptions around, you know, different events and on the horizon possibly. So Xometry, again, is a single source for on-demand manufacturing, and a lot of our superpowers happen to be with this this platform. You could go online, upload your digital model, so a 3D model or your technical data package. We offer for most of our services instant pricing. So even for machining and spec manufacturing, instant pricing, lead times available right away. We have some analysis of those parts. You could see how pricing and lead times update as you change configure online. So this is, you can see the little GIF there, that's Xometry's instant quoting engine. And behind all this, Xometry has their quality guarantee. So, you know, we're a responsible party for making sure your parts are to spec and on time, you know, as you expect them when you order. So, you know, there's going to be a lot to talk about under this. So I just want to keep on moving because I really want to hear from Peter and Jenn. And again, the topic here is ensuring how supply chains can be ensured to withstand disruption. And just to recap, as Serena said, Peter is our COO. So he leads all our operations, which includes, you know, teams upon teams when it comes to design for manufacturability, quality, manufacturing, case management, customer service, and 30 years experience in the field. And again, he comes with an engineer mindset. I know this for a fact. When we talk about projects, he takes out his notepad, asks me every single detailed question possible because everything is a problem worth solving. And we have Jenn Ryan, who is just a supply chain global lead here. She's SVP and head of our seller marketplace. So when you're thinking about scaling, thinking about building a global supplier network, Jenn is best in class for that job. And again, she brings over 25 years experience. So I talked a little bit about Xometry, and I want to bring in this, you know, creating a disruption-proof manufacturing platform. And I think, you know, our hypothesis, our thesis at Xometry has always been in distributed manufacturing platform. So Peter, I wanted to actually get started with our panel discussion here and just ask a basic question. You know, what is distributed manufacturing?
Well, Greg, thank you for having me and welcome everybody to this webinar. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me start by saying, Greg, that you know, the sourcing process can be quite challenging. And everybody that's with us today has the responsibility in one way or another to buy parts, get things made, get them shipped on time. And everybody knows that is not an easy thing to do. It's easy to say, but quite another thing to make happen. You know, people want great value, people want parts delivered on time, and they want them right the first time. And anybody that's got, you know, a lot of experience in manufacturing, they know that that is not an automatic. So if we think about purchasing in a traditional setting, you know, outside of Xometry, everybody has a set of partners or suppliers that they are used to working with. They are typically local. They typically are linked to their industry in one shape or form. They each have their strengths and weaknesses, but ultimately they're limited. They can do what they can do, and your access is to them. And even over time, you've kind of become conditioned to each other. You know what each other expects, you know what prices are right, you know what lead times you can kind of sell at the end of the day. And the process of getting all that pricing is pretty manual, right? You send out an RFQ. That could be an email, or maybe you have an automated tool, but probably not. You send out an email. You ask for feedback. People typically expect 1 to 2 weeks before they get back to you. And then you're even having to do a bunch of follow-up to make sure that, hey, they haven't forgotten about you, that quote is indeed coming. And then you realize that there are questions to answer, and there's a lot of back and forth. Time, money, and really at the end of the day, limited. You may think you got a good deal, but the reality is you got the best deal for your area, for your region. Xometry takes that to a different level. And if I can take the next page, Greg, thank you. You know, in a distributed manufacturing environment, what Xometry does for you is bring the best of the best to your doorstep. You're no longer limited by the people you know, the people that will respond to you. You're basically going to Xometry, and Xometry has access to literally thousands of manufacturers that Jen will talk about later, how we've vetted these people and these companies. We've trained them up to be at a level that is commensurate with the quality and delivery guarantee that we put on the table for you, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, at the end of the day, we make sure your parts are right. So by coming to us, you've got this national network. And what has been really interesting for me coming from the automotive industry and, you know, spending a number of years here at Xometry already, is recognizing these pockets of excellence that are hidden all over the country that you don't locally recognize. Sure, you've got some great ones where you are too, but at this moment, are they available today to start on your project today? That's a different story. But when you're dealing with a national network of thousands of possible players, we always have capacity. We always have qualified vendors who enthusiastically are embracing your opportunity. And go ahead, Greg, sorry.
I was just going to say, so I mean, it's very different because if I think about me setting up suppliers in an ERP, I used to be the item master guy, you know, at work, where I was put in an item, put a vendor next to that item, so my purchaser knows where to buy. But you quickly can stack up, you know, 2,000 plus potential sources, and then all of a sudden my ISO requirements require me to have them send an updated form to me, and I have 2,000 forms. So actually, one of the burdens I see too was on the untraditional sourcing is just there's a lot of upkeep and process, but when you think about distributed manufacturing, you have a platform that's connecting, right? So you're connecting as buyers and suppliers, and it sounds a lot more robust because it's single source and it kind of evolves. So I know, Jen, that's kind of your wagon there, is you're making sure that we're keeping up with what the demand is, right? Oh, Jen, you're muted.
I'll be playing the role of the human with issues today. People might have seen my mom arm come out to wave off interlopers. Peter and I, we both have our roots in lean and agile thinking, and we're bringing that to manufacturing and to supply chain. So something that's really axiomatic is that if you want to see it done at the fastest possible price, the fastest possible turn at the lowest possible price, you're going to aggregate capacity and demand. And that sounds like really fancy talk, but that's, you know, I'm looking at like who's, you know, I'm thinking about who's on this call. If you're on this call, you love supply chain, and that's what we're doing. And so this technology, and 25 years plus in this industry, and over about a year and a half at Xometry, this technology enables us to kind of have close to the utopia of supply chain. We can see every pocket of capacity, or rather every pocket of capacity can see us. And that leads to diversity in geographic and for capability to the platform.
And I'm gonna actually skip because you are right on my next follow-up question, which is no, you're already there. So I'm just gonna keep this hovering on this screen because you're right. It's a very flexible platform compared to the rest. And yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was like, this is a great segue here.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, what else makes a decentralized manufacturing? What makes it agile there?
Well, I'll describe a couple of things, and then Peter will come right back in. What I'd say is that we also, so much of what we do is instinctual until we get to work. So we all know that you wouldn't run a hospital with one doctor, right? You wouldn't have a town with two police officers. It's never, I can't think of a situation in which I think I would ever recommend a single provider. Right? We're not looking to have single points of failure. An agile manufacturing approach is going to allow people of various size and disparate capability to participate. And I think everyone on this call is probably tired of hearing COVID, but I will say that COVID is a great example of what decentralized manufacturing can bring. As the pandemic moved east across Europe and then to the US and moved across the US, because we have 3,000 plus partners and the technology to make it very easy for customers, you don't have to navigate the 3,000. You bring your part. We saw no interruptions. We were up in every state where we operate.
So that's actually a really good point. So we're talking about decentralized. We're talking about the agility of it. I think a question for me is, I'm supply chain, I'm procurement, I'm an engineer that's looking to get a part made. Again, this is more on the elevator level, but
Sure.
What does that look like practically? And I know, we're talking Xometry because this is near and dear to our heart, and it's an industry that we've kind of invented here. But how does that work? Like, what is the experience of an engineer? Like, how do I source a part and what happens?
Well, sure. And I think it's about whose problem do you want to have? In the Xometry model, you're not going to get a call. You don't get a call saying, I'm sick today, or there was an earthquake in my area, or we've lost our power supply, because we have the access to the 3,000 plus partners, and we've taken on that burden. So if conceivably anyone could have a distributed manufacturing platform if you had years to build technology and expertise. So that's where I think is the magic of this platform. And again, when I'm in one of probably kind of the end of my career, I'm excited to do it here. Peter, what would you add when I think of what does it mean to be agile and to be distributed?
Well, I think for starters, everybody wants to have great tools, right? You want to be efficient. We're all taught and pushed that you've got to reduce costs, you've got to reduce your lead time, and that's all about the word lean. So when you think about what we've done is we've created this platform that aggregates all this capacity that you talked about, all of this capability, this diverse capability, not just across the 12 different technologies that we currently offer and growing, but the amount of expertise within each of those verticals is continuing to grow, right? If we look at the complex parts that we make today, it's astonishing. And to get companies like NASA that tell us, wow, these are some of the most beautiful, complex parts we've ever seen. I mean, that is a tribute to the kind of partners that we've been able to attract to our network and the kinds of engineers that work at Xometry that can support those kinds of parts. So we aggravate all this manufacturing capacity and we interface it, right, with all of you as customers. We interface it through our digital platform. So that is an electronic online way of bringing you, as we said earlier, instant pricing, instant lead time, change your parameters to optimize the way you like, right? material types, finishing types, etc. And we bring you that, and then we guarantee it. And that's the big thing, as you mentioned, Jen. You know, it's not about, well, we're sick today, we got a problem today. We take that on-time delivery very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And we're monitoring as orders are being processed that things are happening on time. And if
I
they're
think
not, our responsibility is to jump in and make it right if necessary.
yeah, and I apologize if you saw my camera disappear for a second. I'm not sure if I had a glitch in the matrix there. But this is a great time to bring up one of my favorite Peter quotes, actually, that I use all the time because of it, which is, you know, we're not opening the window and telling you the weather. You know, we're making outcomes. And I think that's really true here is the distributed manufacturing models can, you know, work in a lot of different ways. But one of the things we found is, you know, we're making parts on purpose. And we're, you know, communicating that to capable manufacturers, and we have skin in the game when it comes to that by being the lead on quality and the supplier. You know, so when you're purchasing through Xometry, Xometry is that vendor, and we're managing the suppliers for that. So this is actually, again, really good. A really good segue, which is, who are these people? You know, who is, you know, who are these supplier networks? So we talk about having thousands of manufacturing suppliers. You know, Jen, I think actually this is really good for you. But yeah, tell me a little bit about these suppliers. You know, how do we bring them on board to Xometry and assure the quality of them?
Sure. Well, these are, first of all, I can see myself and I look like I'm talking about my children. Like, I am so proud to represent this network. We're talking about 3,000 plus professional manufacturers who have, some of whom have broad and deep capabilities, some of whom have real specialties, but it's always deep. So the vetting goes from everything from ensuring that this is through financial and other due diligence to making sure that this is a company that can take your project and service your project. It's examining the capacity models and making sure that each firm is using sound capacity science. It's looking at, of course, the quality. We examine every quality management system, and that is, we have people who work at Xometry, that is their specialty. We look at things that you don't want to use unless you need them, like what is your root cause analysis and what is your response when there's issues. Anyone on this call is an expert in knowing that supply chains don't show their resilience until there's an issue. And probably closest to mind, right at the surface, is we provide test parts that are tricky. They're hard, and we provide instructions in standard work. And we have the same interaction about those parts that a customer would have with us. Our customers count on us. They want to upload a file and it's got to come out right. So one of the biggest tests with all that other due diligence I gave you is we send you a very tricky part that requires many turns. It's got to be finished. And we don't communicate with you in the meantime. Everything you need is in that file. And yeah. So there's a bunch of culling. The people who come out on the other end are solid communicators through the onboarding process. They've got financial and business credibility. They have references, and they've turned a very tricky part for us within a very tight time frame.
Yeah, and I think this is something that's reflective. And as Peter knows, we deal with many of our customers that are B2B, top tier companies.
Absolutely.
And which have receiving inspection. So we require receiving inspection. And I think our suppliers, they benefit from not just being part of the network, but being able to access and being part of the job board and all these other wonderful systems that we have. I heard this topic before. We were talking about redundancy. I've heard the term self-healing come around. So when we talk about suppliers, how does that come into context? And I'll let either one of you chat about self-healing.
Well, I'll start and then I'll give it to one of my favorite people. When we think of self-healing, and I love talking to other supply chain people, you're really going to think about nodes on your network, meaning cities, facilities, and if something fails, how can you respond and react? So a self-healing network is one in which if one node fails, other nodes can really stand up. And Xometry is a great example of a self-healing network. Those of us that are experts in global supply chain will tell you that the way you weather a tsunami, the way you weather a pandemic, the way you weather H1N1, I'm taking some of us back, is in understanding where your work is and diversifying your service array. Fancy words. If you're in more than one place and you understand that they have different operating conditions, you have a resilient supply chain. Self-healing means I don't have to make a plan and sound an alarm. When California, and the real example would be when the Northeast started to shut down, right? I'm going to use a very proximate example. We were able, without needing to call people and sound alarms, our system, our technology, and then our expertise allows us to see that California at that time was wide open, and we were able to get that work done in California and communicate with our customers. Peter,
and just
sorry, please.
I was going to say, so for these manufacturers, right? It's not again, this is a non-dispatch, right? So they're making conscious decisions too. Like if they know that Hurricane Maria is coming or something else, they're making decisions saying we're working through. I know, Peter, what do you see on your side from partners? I think you said it comes faster, right?
And I do want to say that disaster recovery is a practice. And when I worked for Peter, he really gave me some rope to build that. So we don't wait for them to tell us there's a hurricane, we're calling them. And
I would say the combination of Jen, her team, and our technology pulls off what looks like magic, Greg. I mean, Jen is right.
Hurricane.
I mean, people
can expand. Yeah.
No, that's right. I mean, we are practically telegraphing the hurricane. We are having our manufacturing partners recognize that they might be at risk. They are typically getting ahead of schedule. Our early ships jump way up, right? And because they want to get themselves out of harm's way, get their work out of harm's way. And as soon as the hurricane passes, there's a quick confirmation, are we still okay? And if we're not, we're there to the rescue with a different part of the country. And it's amazing to watch Jen and her team in action, coupling with the technology, but the great men and women on the team, they just do a fantastic job. And partners, this is what's really interesting. I mean, it's a community. I mean, they all care about each other and they care about North American manufacturing. So the fact that they are able to supplement each other from one side of the country or another, or even one industrial strategy or sector to another, yeah, we can make automotive parts, even though we usually do medical in our area. That's just a different shape. Of course, send us the work. We got you covered, And all of our partners are taking work. We don't push it to them. They take it. So every job is a willing manufacturing partner participant. So they want it. And we rate them. It's one of the things about the quality that Jen brought to the team is we put in place a quality scoring system that is live, dynamic. Every day, we know and our partners know their score. A score that is a combination of quality performance, delivery performance, communication, and engagement.
Which is kind of amazing when you think about that, because you have, as a supplier, suppliers often, when they get feedback, it's not feedback, it's just their customer doesn't call again if it's a negative experience. And actually being able to put a metric behind it is something that distributed manufacturing can do exceedingly well, because you're working on almost an unbiased scale of like what is a general standard of quality assurance. And I know, like, for example, I help write up some of our manufacturing standards on our website, and these are generally acceptable standards for quality, whether it's tolerances, measurements, surface finishes. So I want to move to our next topic, because usually someone says distributed manufacturing, who are our suppliers? The next question is, what's it cost me, right? So this is a question that comes up a lot, like, does a decentralized manufacturing platform, does it increase my prices and lead times? And I think I'll let Peter, I'll let you run on it, and then I'll have Jen chime in as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's amazing. Look, we judge ourselves by bringing great competitive solutions to you. if we're not bringing you a better lead time and a better price, then we're looking at the mirror and saying, hey, we need to do better. And when you've got the broad network that Xometry's put together, and you basically get trained from that expertise that is across the nation, you're invariably putting a very good price and a very good lead time on the table. And then when you couple that with the full service that we bring, right, our cross-functional team of contract review people, design and manufacturing engineers, supply chain managers,
Yes.
problem solvers, machinists, 3D printing experts, the combination of all that is really quite phenomenal. I mean, we're nearly 400 people, Greg. It's amazing how we've grown and continued to grow. And this is just the beginning.
And I saw you said something in the sentence that we use all the time, but for the audience here, I'll put clarification. So you said trained. And because we use it here a lot, but we're actually talking about something that's state of the industry, which is, AI machine learning. So when we talk about pricing too, this is actually machine learned. So that instant pricing happens because of the feedback loop, right? So, and I think this is actually, I'll lead in because I got a heavy nod from Jen there. So, when we're talking about pricing, it doesn't sound like we're increasing pricing and lead times, and some of that AI training's there to help there, right?
Well, and we've moved, if any of us as individuals or any of our friends on the call attempted to recreate this, you would be the constraint, right? Because now you're introducing orders of magnitude of project management complexity, right? Vendor management complexity. If you didn't have the technology and really the center of excellence that Peter leads, you couldn't do it. And so, yeah, when you're listening to that and you think, yeah, if you were trying to create it, it would increase cost. The technology gives us scale, and the and we get volume and scale by operating from a center of excellence. So you really can get it because we're finding the available capacity rather than pushing, as Peter said. It is one of the times where you're going to be able to get resilience, the right results, and you're going to be able to get the lowest price. Everyone on this call knows what happens when you shove work into a fully subscribed plant. It's late, wrong, or both. And we offer a real alternative to that.
You get your go away bid where it's, add a zero at the end. But yeah, I think you're right. When there's a high amount of supply, costs go down. And that's something that distributed manufacturing can just naturally do because in the marketplace, the redundancy, the ability to when you press order, we're not waiting for, we're not waiting. The job is usually sourced and ready to start that day. So it's something pretty amazing. When you press order 100 times that day, those 100 jobs are ready to start that day as well. Like, I mean, it's kind of an amazing platform. We talked a little bit about quality assurance, so I will, we'll run through this topic briefly here because I think we already covered it a little bit. But again, when I talk about supply chain experts, it's like, yeah, who's your supplier? What's it gonna cost me? And then, how do you assure it? So I have, 5,000 manufacturers, and we talked about that partner success score. So that success score, and I'm gonna reframe this because we already talked about some of the mechanisms. But do we run a QMS, Peter? Do we have a quality management system in place?
Yeah, of course. So we as Xometry, we are ISO 9001. We are AS 9100 certified. We have a lot of members from our network that are either compliant or certified in those areas, as well as in some cases on the medical side of the business. And then on top of that, we've got what we call a quality management system that we've made available to all of our partners. So of course, the big ones, they're already set up. They've got their certifications. They're there to take care of the big orders. And the smaller guys, they're looking to develop and they want to become the next big thing. And we help them get there by walking them through what it means to be ISO compliant, AS 9100 compliant. And we feed them the tools, the processes, the literature, and we train them on how to get there. So that creates a more and more robust, a deeper and deeper network that allows us to bring these good prices and these low lead times. But the quality at the end of the day has to be there, to your point. And, you know, quality in our fields are wide ranging, you know, parts on specification, parts with the right surface finish, parts with the right finish, you know, gold plating, anodizing, etc. The right material certification, maybe even lot traceability, maybe even proof that they're made in an AS 9100 registered facility. All of those levels of quality assurance, they can be requested and they can be complied with. First articles, quality control plans on how are you going to verify. I'm giving you an order Xometry for 6,000 pieces, and they're going to be produced over, let's say, a 6-week period. What are we going to do to guarantee that quality on an ongoing basis? You know, we apply that with a traditional control plan that you approve. So it's really, you know, Xometry's control elements, our partners' control elements, all basically dovetailed into what you really need. It's custom. It's for you. It's yours.
And
Jenn,
Jen, I'm gonna go in on a different angle for you in a second here, but I do want to say that something kind of wonderful about our digital infrastructure is it is auditable, and I think that's something that's really really powerful, especially because we practice so much in aerospace and defense industries. Is the fact that even though you're working so many projects in parallel, so many there's so many, everything's unique, and every single job may have multiple parts in multiple processes. And actually this is a good segue into Jen, like, we have an auditable system. But quality up front, Jen, what happens when an order happens? Like, so say I have like, sheet metal, stainless steel machine part and a 3D print on an order. Do we do anything up front, like on the pairing side for quality assurance?
Sure. So I have like 3 things I want to cover here. So I'm going to take us on a quick journey. So it's interesting because you're causing me to reflect on like what I think are the real pillars of Xometry. We're willing to invest to get it right up front. So from the customer interface, that's really a guided journey. It's really not, you don't have to remember, did I need a DFARS on this, right? We're asking you the questions that go with the process that you've selected. And it's why, while we'll contact you if there's a problem, we have a lot that I would call they're on the green line. We're asking the right questions, the right materials come in. So to your point about embedding quality, the second one, and Peter's really flown this flag, is that we believe in standard work. So we're customized to the customer, but we've got a Rosetta Stone that makes, when it comes through our technology, the interface with the professional manufacturers interact with is standard for them. So
standardized.
It's standardized. So it's eliminated a lot of the possibility of error. The third thing is we believe in source inspection. It's a huge investment, and Peter's team came up with what I would say is a gold standard for virtual quality control as COVID emerged, because we were doing that obviously by receiving parts. But source inspection, the folks on this phone are familiar with sampling and other methodologies. Source inspection is an investment, and Xometry makes that investment. Finally, and I think as a supply chain professional, I also want to hear this, so I want to share it with you guys, is that the investment's on the other side. I will say, everyone knows problems happen in manufacturing. We've made the investment that between engineers, professional training for our suppliers, but trained machinists, when there's a problem that isn't negligence, if you're negligent, you're out. But if you have a problem that's really about understanding, we will skill you up. We actually have professional people that are dedicated only to supplier coaching. So 3 things. We stand by it. We embed quality up front. We stand by our work, which many people that are working through partners don't necessarily do. And third, we've got root cause analysis that we can look you in the eyes and say, yeah, if we have a problem, you're not going to see that problem again.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think that's also an important note here. We mentioned having expertise on staff, and that's not just from the engineer side. So, for example, I'm an application expert, engineer. My expertise is mostly in applied additive manufacturing and molding. But we have other folks on our team that have expertise in different fields, including on our operations team, so under Peter's team, who are machinist experts and molding experts and tool makers and folks that can actually get on the line and have actually ran their own shop for 30 plus years to be able to overcome any challenges or questions. Jen, I
Can
see
I?
the
Yes,
handshakes
I
here.
need a favor. I need to ask this group. I'm desperate for questions. We have to have questions. It's one of the things that makes us feel good about ourselves. For every question we get, I'll make a $25 donation to a food bank. But I need questions,
I
please.
think it's Giving Tuesday, guys. I believe, right?
Yes. So for every
All right.
question that the group gives or sends, I will make and I'm gonna make, and Peter's gonna do it with me.
And me, yes, of course.
As I volunteered you.
And Jen, who's really the queen of standardized work, everybody. One of the things that we maybe can add here about quality is our system has learned what each manufacturing partner is really good at. So through a combination of, us evaluating is a part a low risk, medium risk, high risk in terms of complexity, or what kind of industry are you working and coming from, that all helps our system guide your work to the most optimum location. So we use that to create the price and the lead time, but we also use it to drive the sourcing process, right? At the end of the day, we got to minimize risk. Yes, we're going to stand behind it no matter what. But of course, the best thing is that there are no problems, right? That everything just happens smoothly and quietly, and a beautiful part arrives at your doorstep. So the matching of partners through our AI system, which is built on past successes as well as capability profiles that each of our partners have. So that's an important part of our quality assurance program as well.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's a great segue. So I have a couple case studies, and this is kind of intermission. So like, Jen, Peter, you guys can stretch out and breathe for a second because I'll take the next couple slides here. But I do want your commentary. I know, right? But the case studies that I chose today, because we do so many parts and we have so many projects going on, I wanted to take something that's a little bit unique. And now this does happen a lot of times when when we're working with a new customer to Xometry, is they usually throw us the thing that they haven't sourced yet, which is typically the hardest thing possible to make. But it's something kind of amazing about a distributed manufacturing platform is that we can usually say yes and go through those. So one of the first case studies that I want to bring up, and a great success story here. This is NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. This is a component that they're making for their ECLSS unit, which is environmental control of life support system for the International Space Station. So these are components that are or will be in space for a vital life support system on the International Space Station. And if you are familiar with NASA, NASA does have its own manufacturing facilities, but they had a problem. These parts are big. It's a lot of metal. So even getting the material blank, a spec'd out material blank to that size is a challenge in the first place. And then secondly, getting a machine to multi-axis machine and hog out that much metal to high precision tolerances is another challenge in itself. The Xometry, they basically, like I said, a lot of our new customers will say, here's the hardest thing, because they were trying to weld it together, but starting welds for space flight in general is just terrible to do, because you never can certify welds that and have full confidence in them. So they needed it to be solid metal. And we went across our network. We were able to look at the capabilities. AS9100, having a US-based shop that is able to produce the AS9100, be able to not just produce it, like not just make the shape, but qualify it. This part had secondary heat treats, secondary machining after heat treating, and then even specialized inspection requirements to it. So it's not just a bracket, right? These are, like I said, a lot of our customers, you can't order brackets, you can't do 3D printing. In fact, like we do, we make a whole lot of parts, those methods. But beyond prototyping and concept, I mean, real functional use, and something that someone who's already a manufacturer couldn't supply with their own chain, and found Xometry to work through. Is there anything you wanted to add? I know, Peter, you saw this kind of on the inside view. We can't go too inside view, but yeah.
Oh, I would just say that, for example, with NASA and other similar companies, we do work for them every day. And Greg's right. They've got internal manufacturing. They don't have to use us, but we create that flexible capacity, right? They've got X number of machines. Their people are expert at certain configurations. And it's amazing how some people are really good at a part like this that has a fair amount of turning involved with it. Other people are really good at making chassis. Other people are used to making small parts, titanium, Inconel, stainless steel. I mean, everybody's got their niche. And when you're using a Xometry, you essentially have the entire toolbox of capability. And that's it's really cool. Like NASA or anybody else doesn't have to think about, well, we can't do that. If you have Xometry on your team, you can do that, right? And that's a pretty valuable player.
Yeah, and I will say for the stuff like these aerospace space flights, they're usually high spec, low volume, which for a lot of manufacturers is not always the best combo that they want, but there's manufacturers that just absolutely love it. They'll just take that work going through. And by the way, I do want to recommend checking out the case study. We had a video for this, and I'll give a shout out to Serena as well, who you saw at the beginning of this. She writes all our case studies and had just excellent conversation with that. And the other one I want to bring up is something that's relevant. It's very timely for where we are right now. And this is a Baltimore-based company reached out to Xometry and found us, and they actually invented a transparent face mask, and it was FDA approved. The challenge was that approval happened in April 2020. And this is the Clear Mask project. So how can you move a product to market when you are having global supply chain disturbances? And they came to Xometry, and I think Peter, we've saw this. We were here in April looking at this, but we're now producing millions upon millions of this product. And actually, if you want to provide some commentary, because I know this is ongoing, right? We're doing sustained contract manufacturing. Oh, that's what you came up for. Yeah. So, and this is really interesting, right? This is not just spec. This is not just spec. Bag and tag, get your parts out. This is a commercial product that the whole kit and caboodle when it arrives to Clear Mask's dock is part of the Xometry supply chain here. So a very different approach, not just spec manufacturing, but yeah, we're using our supply chain stretch as well.
So Greg, maybe I'll jump in and give a little bit of color here. So, it's going to sound corny, but we do make a lot of people's dreams come true. And this group out of Maryland, out of Johns Hopkins, they've been working for a while to develop this product. And, as you said, coronavirus hit and the world is taken by storm. And they had a product that could really help. And it was great. We had a nice local connection, which made it very easy. But we worked together to, solidify the bill of material, to figure out how to procure this bill of material globally quickly, and then to develop a manufacturing process completely not knowing what the volume was going to be, right? I mean, it's never been made before. So we go from 1 line to 2 lines to 3 lines to 22 different assembly lines producing this product in hundreds of thousands per day. It was a very exciting process for us, exciting process for them as inventors, as co-founders of their business. So it's really interesting how on one end we're doing things for NASA and Fortune 500 companies, and on the other hand, we're helping young upstart companies who have a great idea, but they don't have the access to all this manufacturing know-how, supply chain capacity, logistics and materials management. It's we help them do this, and it's quite rewarding for everybody involved. And we had a lot of great men and women at Xometry who work hand in hand with our customer here, and it was quite a fun exercise.
I know the entire company was just very proud of what we were able to achieve. And again, given the circumstances, but this is a really great segue to kind of my final question. It's a good closing question before we get to questions and answers here. But yeah, the Xometry we have this white glove supply chain approach. So people, first it almost has this Amazon feel where you just click and buy experience, but we have so much expertise and the diversity in our network to do so many different jobs. So I have kind of a summary here, and I'll show the next slide. But this is I thought about Xometry when we were talking about what questions to ask, and I thought about the 5 R's of resiliency here, and I think it plays really well. So Xometry, how does Xometry's platform, how does this distributed manufacturing platform withstand supply chain disruptions? And again, I have a little cheat sheet here, but I really thought about those are the 5 R's: those robustness, redundancy, resourcefulness, response, and recovery. And I'll let either one of you chat on that.
Well, go ahead, Jen, please take the lead.
Well, any of us, and those of us who've kind of grown up with supply chain, are always trying to figure out, how do I transcend points of failure? So if you've got technology that can really onboard across 12 plus technologies, we bring in new technologies all the time, and really is supplier agnostic, it's that powerful. So if I look at robustness, we talked about, and what's interesting is we've covered a lot of these. We talked about being deep and wide. The technology can tell me, and just as Peter said, the technology is learning all the time. It knows the very best people for a time-sensitive 5-axis project, right? That's the technology. And then the response. One of the questions in the Q&A that's coming up is about who stands next to it. If you've got access to 3,000 plus suppliers, and if you're a meaningful revenue stream for many, many suppliers, you've got maximum leverage. And that's one of the reasons that we even see customers bringing their suppliers to us saying, onboard this supplier, is because we've got a whole nother level of leverage, right? You've got your company, we've got a lot of companies. And so when I look at response and recovery, and a lot of it is mindset. We are powered by process. And many of the things that get in the way of supply chain are really important things. But Xometry can really be an ombudsman for the company. We really bring, it's going to be late. Can you make it or not? If you can't, we're going to resource it.
Absolutely. And I know I actually saw some questions coming in. So I will say, like, let's get to some Q&A, because I know we're running on time here. So again, this is a great moment. If you want to, on the questions tab in the GoToWebinar, type in some more questions. We're going to try to answer some. If we need to go a little over, I'm perfectly fine with that, because this is, again, I will squeeze all the juice out of Peter and Jen. Having them on board here, like, and having them captive on camera is fantastic, because you could just really work with the expertise here. So I'm going to very briefly go through this, and I am seeing some questions come in, which is absolutely awesome. Some cool things that Xometry does that is, again, something that you don't normally see with a manufacturer. We actually have we are very environmentally conscious, and actually over the last year, many people haven't known this, but Xometry's Go Green initiative, we have been offsetting the carbon for all shipments domestically. So we've actually been working with a company that you could actually purchase carbon offsets. So we've been doing that for all shipping domestically, and that doesn't affect the customers at all. It's just something that we want to do for corporate responsibility. But we also just added on our instant quoting engine a way for you to actually offset the manufacturing carbon footprint. as well. So if you're on the instant quoting engine, you can actually see carbon offset at the very top. And as you specify your part, because it'll change based off the process, material selection, et cetera, you can actually offset a portion or the full amount of carbon, and you can see, what that'll be. And also select where you want to offset that, whether it's, planting trees or for solar or for wind. But we now have that option directly on the site, and it's something just really, really exciting that we're proud to do. And again, we want to be a very progressive company. I also want to say that one of the things is we're always growing. We're always interested in getting more people to learn about Xometry. A great way to help pay for your prototyping is using your referral code. So when you go to snaps, we go to xometry.com/refer. You will get a unique link. You can send that to your cohorts and colleagues, and they can register. If they go and quote some work, they'll have $50 that they can actually spend against that project. So they'll have basically Xometry credits they can use on the checkout page. If they purchase, you'll get 50. So it's a give 50, get 50 program, and it's a great way, like I said, to pay for prototyping, working across your teams. But again, that's at xometry.com/refer, or if you already have an account, you'll see an earn credits link at the very upper right of your account page.
And I'll go ahead and introduce this coupon offer here. This is valid for all of December. Please, visit our quoting engine, see how robust our supply chain is firsthand by using this code INSTANT50 to get $50 off your next order of $100 or more. So now let's transition to our Q&A. We've had a couple of questions come in. The first one is, and I think, Peter, you're a great expert to start us off on this one. What tips would you recommend for a startup trying to decentralize a supply chain, particularly when they want to order a large amount of custom parts? I believe, Erica, that was what you meant, but please send us a clarification if we are approaching this wrong.
Well, I would say open a Xometry account. I mean, one of the things that's been amazing, whether you are an upstart car company or just the next company launching satellites or launching rockets, we are a big part of getting your supply chain going. And we have done that for so many already. It's just every week there are brand new companies entering very mature fields, but they don't have enough backing yet to get the attention of high volume supply chain. But Xometry brings you low volume, medium volume, and high volume. We have now the breadth in our network to be your starting point to end point supply chain. So really, if you're a startup, as long as it's in the technology field that we provide, and again, if it wasn't there last week, check next week because it might be there today. Because it's always growing, right? We have a team of engineers and other supply chain professionals linked with this technology, linked with this platform, that are going to be able to take care of you. Whether it's, again, a part for a rocket, a part for a new submarine, a part for the latest electric car. It doesn't matter. We can make it. So really, it sounds a little bit cocky here, but open a Xometry account and we can take care of you.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we talked about really early on was that lowering the barrier to entry. And Xometry's website is free to use, and for the instant quoting engine, it just requires a 3D CAD file. So you can go online, upload right away, see pricing and lead times through different processes. And again, I think auto quoting 7 additive manufacturing processes, anything machined, if it's a sheet metal part. You don't accidentally make sheet metal, so you'll know if it's sheet metal, you'll choose sheet metal there. But you're thinking casting and other processes, and that's all transparent and available right now. So that's 24/7 for you.
Can you give our customers or supply chain professionals a sense of the production limits or some, quantity benchmarks?
Good question. Actually, there are no limits. One of the slides that we kind of glossed over very early in the presentation, it talked about prototype. It talked about low volume, product line prove outs. It talked about contract manufacturing. I mean, we really, today, I saw one of our team members working on a quote that was for 3 million units, right? So it's really, don't think of a limit. Xometry has the ability to do quantity 1, quantity 10, 100,000, 10 million. And if we have to use multiple partners to simultaneously just blanket you with volume, okay, because timing is everything when you've got an invention that is needed at a point in time. We can have a dozen partners literally simultaneously working on the exact same design to the exact same control plan, all being monitored by our supply chain and quality organization. So really, don't think of limits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about your project success. And I think to Peter's point, it's always what's going to make your project more successful versus thinking about minimums or maximums. What is your market demanding? And by the way, again, my job is application specific. So it's usually the answer is different depending on what your timeline is. So, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, this could be very different processes and something that we're able to align. And I saw Jenn on your head, but we aim for the sweet spot, right? So we have sweet spot manufacturers for just about all these processes, dependent regardless of quantity.
Awesome. And
sorry,
go
I was
ahead.
going to say, you had me thinking of several projects we worked on where we used one technology to get something in people's hands in 48 hours and a different technology that was better for the long-term deliverables. So I thought that was a great example.
Yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of a control plan for multiple partners, who is accountable financially and who is responsible for prioritizing the rework or manufacturing if and when a delivery is late or parts are out of spec? This particular customer is nervous about losing the direct relationship to the supplier that allows them to work through quality and timing issues together.
I'll take a stab at this one. I love this one, and Peter may have a little bit to add. I'm, just in full candor, our providers, when we're working with them, and I'll say it a different way. When I'm at a company, I've been this asker. The manufacturer uses their relationship with us in a bunch of ways, but we have fidelity to them. And the reason many people ask us to manage their suppliers, hey, can you onboard this person and this person, is that we can de-emotionalize that relationship. So everybody knows a guy at a place, and that's Xometry's job. But if for this customer, if they moved this work to us, a couple things that they would want to keep in mind. When you're negotiating with your manufacturer, their options are in-house. How can I push other work to take this work? They're making margin decisions based on your relationship and based on that job. As Xometry, we can work with your supplier, and we do it all the time. And what we say is, if you can't meet this spec, we're going to move the work. It's not emotional. We have that capability. So the buck stops with Xometry. We stand next to the work, meaning we will. If there is a schedule problem, we white glove it through, and you're protected financially. Secondly, and I don't want to minimize this, those of us who are in supply chain, is that you don't have to have a conversation with the manufacturer that says, I really like you, but. That's our job. And the but isn't that you're negotiating just with that manufacturer. We can use our entire service array to get your piece right. Peter, how does that align for you?
Yeah, no, that aligns great. Maybe one point to add is we are bringing work to each of these partners from multiple industries. And if they fail on your part, on one part, they are hurting the relationship with us, Xometry, who is basically the start of the funnel for all of their work coming from many, many sectors. They don't want to ruin that. We're not just one customer that brings a job once a month. We are the customer that's bringing them work every single day. And sometimes some of these partners are doing a half a dozen jobs a day just from us. So that relationship, that accountability is very, very strong, you know, and likewise us, we want to protect our brand. So our brand is important to us. Our work is important to those partners. And so it works to create what we see as a faster turnaround to issues, because there are issues. It is custom manufacturing. It does happen. And the important thing is that we're all transparent with each other. We talk about the situation, that we talk to you about the situation if we've had one, and we talk about prioritizing. You know, maybe you want a parcel shipment, maybe you can do without the finishing on your first two pieces because they're really just being used for a fit check anyway. So we can work with you to prioritize what you really need to obtain your milestone requirements. And then we work with our partner to do the right thing. But Jen made the other big point. It's not, we have options. And if a partner can't deliver because something happened with them, whether it was COVID related,
it could be like a weather disruption,
a machine breakdown, a weather disruption, things happen, right? So it's like, okay, Bob, no problem. We got you covered. We're going to pick up your raw material. We'll have, here's a label, get that raw material delivered. It's going over, well, you don't need to know where it's going. We're picking it up. We're taking it from here. And we advise the customer on what's going on. So we are dealing with whatever curveballs come our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're getting towards close here, and I think that's just a really good question. And you know, in the end, again, Xometry is your sword and shield. We are the vendor on record for you. We have that quality. We have our quality program in place. Like we do have, you know, our quality manual, and we stick to it. We have a full spec inspection team at our facility. So even for things like NCMRs or RMAs, we do handle that. Well, oftentimes we are taking that back to our facility if it hasn't been through already. But usually if it's been through our facility, it's going out right. So it's, you know, there's a saying there that it's not a bad job unless it ships. So there's but the truth is that we do have a lot in place to make sure that quality is assured, and you know, keep above you know, a direct source competition, like, you know, what you're talking about, just you know, working directly you know, in a more serialized supply chain because we have this parallel capacity. Serena,
Awesome.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're at time. I may have drawn us a little over here, but
Yeah, so I just want to leave us on a note. If you all still have questions, please feel free to reach out directly. I will be sending a follow-up email with everyone, with Jen, Peter, and Greg's contact information. You can also reach out to us at support@xometry.com and work through your account rep. And then, yes, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our panelists for sharing all of your knowledge and expertise.
yeah,
I want to
you.
thank everybody. This has been like the best hour of 2020. I could talk about this all day. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Really appreciated the opportunity.
All right, guys,
Alright.
take care. Thank you.
Bye.